One day, you wake up and realize you don't even recognize yourself anymore. The person staring back at you in the mirror feels like a stranger, drained, disconnected, and carrying emotions that aren't even yours. If that hits you in the gut, you might be an empath living in a toxic world, and right now, that world is trying to break you. Welcome to Sigma Male Community, the place where we cut through the noise and sharpen the mind into something unshakable. If you're a man who feels everything, who absorbs the chaos and hidden motives around you, you know how exhausting it can be. People take your kindness as weakness. Environments drain you without warning. And yet, that very sensitivity you've been taught to hide might just be your greatest weapon. Today, we're opening Carl Jung's survival guide for empaths, his psychological map for navigating a world built to cloud your judgment, hijack your emotions, and rob you of your sense of self. This isn't about numbing yourself or shutting down your heart. It's about mastering your mind, defending your energy, and turning your empathy into a form of power most people can't even comprehend. Let's get into it. 1. The Empath Antenna. As an empath, you're not just sensitive. You're a quantum sensor in a chaotic field. Carl Jung would describe this as being deeply attuned to the collective unconscious, a realm where archetypal energies, unspoken emotions, and the shadows of others swirl like invisible currents. You pick up on these frequencies before your first conscious breath, absorbing the rage, grief, and anxiety of those around you. This isn't just sensitivity, it's advanced perception. But in a toxic world, this antenna becomes overloaded. Jung teaches us that much of what you absorb isn't yours. It's the collective shadow, the unacknowledged darkness of society projected onto you. Recognizing this is your first step to freedom. Your exhaustion isn't weakness, it's signal overload. Jung's concept of the shadow helps us understand that these external energies are not your burden to carry. By discerning what's yours and what's not, you can begin to filter out the noise, preserving your clarity and strength. This is the first act of reclaiming your power as an empath. But how do you protect yourself? Jung might call it building a psychic firewall, establishing boundaries that shield you from the chaos. This isn't about closing off. It's about discerning what serves your growth and what drains you. Stoicism reinforces this by teaching us to focus on what we can control, our own thoughts, emotions, and actions. By understanding that much of what you absorb is not your own, you can separate your emotions from those of others, a crucial step in Jung's individuation process. This is where you begin to stand firm, not as a sponge for the world's pain, but as a sovereign being who chooses what to let in. 2. Sacred selfishness. Unleashed Jung's concept of individuation, the journey toward becoming a whole, integrated individual, demands that you prioritize your own psychological development. For empaths, this often means learning to say no and setting boundaries that protect your energy. Society might label this as selfish, but Jung would argue it's a necessary step toward self-realization. By honoring your needs, you're not abandoning others. You're ensuring you have the strength to support them from a place of fullness, not depletion. This is sacred selfishness, reclaiming your birthright to prioritize your core voltage over outdated obligations. Stoicism aligns with this by emphasizing self-mastery. True strength comes from within, and protecting your energy is not selfish, but essential for personal growth and effectiveness. When you stop over-functioning for others, your own mission's frequency finally cuts through the static. This isn't narcissism. It's becoming an energy sovereign. Jung would say that individuation requires you to shed the masks society imposes, the healer, the sponge, the endlessly tolerant, and embrace your full energetic spectrum. Stoicism teaches us to value our time as finite stardust and to honor boundaries as non-negotiable force fields. "My needs matter too" isn't a whisper. It's the battle cry of the energetically awake. By embracing this, you're not just surviving. You're fulfilling your potential to be a complete, authentic person. 3. Guilt, the invisible cage. Guilt is the invisible cage that traps many empaths, conditioned to put others first. Jung might see this guilt as a manifestation of the shadow, where repressed parts of the self, like the need for self-care, emerge as feelings of unworthiness or obligation. Recognizing that this guilt is often projected onto you by societal expectations or the shadows of others can free you from its grip. Jung's shadow work teaches us that guilt is not a moral compass, but a tool of control, designed to keep you compliant and small. Stoicism offers a counterbalance by teaching us to evaluate our actions based on reason and virtue, not external judgments. By aligning your actions with your true values, you dissolve the power of guilt and live more authentically. Your worth isn't determined by how much you sacrifice for others, but by how true you are to yourself. This is where Jung's concept of individuation becomes revolutionary. It's about shedding the guilt that chains you to draining ports and reclaiming your sovereignty. Stoicism reinforces this by reminding us that true freedom comes from living in accordance with nature and reason, not societal expectations. When you stop apologizing for your boundaries, your no, or your need for space, you're not just breaking free, you're stepping into your power. 4. Individuation, your quantum reboot. Jung's individuation is not self-help, it's hacking the system. For empaths, it's the process of shattering the mirrors society holds up, the healer, the sponge, the endlessly tolerant, and embracing your full energetic spectrum. This is deep system reformatting, shedding inherited roles, outdated familial codes, and the suffocating mask of the good person. It's integrating your shadow, not to become dark, but to reclaim your full power and operate at maximum bandwidth. For empaths, this means embracing your sensitivity as a strength, not a weakness, and learning to navigate the world without losing yourself. Jung would say that individuation is the ultimate act of self-realization, where you become your own person, free from the expectations of others. This journey requires courage to face your shadow and differentiate from collective norms. It's about becoming a whole, integrated individual, which aligns perfectly with the Sigma male mindset of independence and self-reliance. Stoicism adds a layer of resilience here, teaching us that true strength lies in emotional control and rational thinking. By embracing individuation, you're not just surviving, you're thriving unapologetically. 5. Energy, hygiene, your psychic firewall. Clarity isn't found, it's forged through ruthless energy hygiene. Jung might describe this as keeping the psyche clear of external influences that could cloud your judgment or drain your vitality. Practices like meditation, which Jung saw as a way to connect with the self, can help you tune into your own inner voice and filter out the noise. But it's not just about peace, it's about purge. Imagine your aura as a sovereign nation. What foreign entities, toxic exes, panic-inducing news feeds, draining DMs, have illegal occupation? Conduct psychic sweeps. Burn the energetic bridges. Stoicism supports this by advocating for mental discipline and regular self-reflection. By ensuring your thoughts and emotions are aligned with your core values, you protect your energy and stay focused on what truly matters. This is where Jung's concept of the self becomes crucial. The self is the center of your personality, beyond the ego's desires or societal pressures. By maintaining energy hygiene, you're not just protecting yourself, you're honoring your true essence. Stoicism teaches us that this inner strength is untouchable, allowing you to navigate even the stormiest seas with grace and power. 6. The goodness trap. Exposed. The lie sold to empaths is that good equals self-immolation. Jung would argue this is a form of the persona, where you adopt a role that's socially acceptable but not authentic. True goodness, from a Jungian perspective, comes from living in alignment with your true self, which includes setting boundaries and honoring your needs. Denying your instincts to leave, to rage, to rest, doesn't make you noble. It forces your repressed shadow into the driver's seat, leading to burnout or explosions. Stoicism reinforces this by teaching that virtue lies in living according to nature and reason, not in conforming to societal expectations. By defining your own standards of goodness based on authenticity and self-respect, you break free from the trap and live more fully. Jung's shadow work is key here. By integrating the shadow, you accept all parts of yourself, including the parts society tells you to bury. Stoicism adds that true strength lies in emotional control and rational thinking, not in endless tolerance. When you stop sacrificing yourself on the altar of others' comfort, you're not just surviving, you're reclaiming your power. 7. Walking away. The sovereign's choice. Jung's individuation often involves making difficult choices, like walking away from toxic relationships or situations that no longer serve your growth. This is part of discerning what aligns with your true self and what doesn't. For empaths, this might mean letting go of people who drain your energy or who don't respect your boundaries. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't. Walking away from toxicity is an act of self-preservation and empowerment, allowing you to conserve your energy for what truly matters. Jung would say this is a step toward integrating your shadow and honoring your sovereignty. This is where the Sigma male mindset shines. Walking away isn't abandonment. It's strategic retreat for planetary-level self-preservation. You're not an emotional public utility, you're a sovereign being. Detaching isn't cold. It's the white-hot act of reclaiming your core power source. Your survival is sacred. 8. Shame. The soul's rust. Shame is particularly corrosive for empaths, who might internalize the shame of others or feel ashamed of their own sensitivity. Jung would see shame as a product of the shadow, where unaccepted parts of the self are projected onto the individual. By confronting and integrating these shadow aspects, you can dissolve the power of shame. Stoicism offers a path to self-acceptance by focusing on your own character and actions rather than external judgments. Cultivating self-compassion and recognizing that your sensitivity is a strength, not a flaw, can help you overcome shame and live with greater confidence. Jung's concept of the shadow is transformative here. By acknowledging and working with your shadow, you harness its energy for personal growth rather than letting it control you. Stoicism adds that true freedom comes from living in accordance with your values, not societal expectations. When you scrape off the rust of shame, you're not just healing, you're shining. 9. Frequency over fame. In a world obsessed with fame and recognition, Jung would remind us that true fulfillment comes from within, from living in alignment with the self. For empaths, this means prioritizing your inner frequency, your authentic self, over external validation. Your worth isn't measured by how many people you please, but by how true you are to yourself. Stoicism aligns with this by teaching that happiness comes from living virtuously, not from seeking approval from others. By focusing on your own path and values, you can find peace and purpose, regardless of external circumstances. Jung's individuation process is about becoming a whole, integrated individual, free from the need for external validation. Stoicism reinforces this by emphasizing inner strength and resilience. When you stop explaining your silence, your boundaries, your no, you're not just clarifying, you're liberating yourself. 10th mission, clarity, the empath's mandate. Jung's concept of the self can be seen as the source of your true purpose. For empaths, this might involve using your sensitivity for healing, creativity, or other meaningful endeavors, but it must be done in a way that's sustainable and aligned with your individuation process. Clarifying your mission means understanding how your unique gifts can serve the world without compromising your well-being. Stoicism encourages clarity of purpose and focus on what you can control. By defining your mission in a way that honors your needs and strengths, you can live with intention and impact. This is where Jung's shadow work becomes crucial. By integrating your shadow, you ensure that your mission isn't driven by unresolved wounds, but by authentic purpose. Stoicism adds that true fulfillment comes from living in alignment with your values, not from external accolades. When you focus on your mission with clarity and purpose, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. 11. The shadow's silent takeover. Ignoring your shadow can lead to it taking control, causing you to act out of character or become overwhelmed by emotions you haven't integrated. Jung's shadow work is essential for empaths to understand and integrate these parts of themselves, preventing them from sabotaging your life. Stoicism provides tools for self-reflection and emotional regulation, allowing you to confront your shadow with courage and reason. By acknowledging and working with your shadow, you can harness its energy for personal growth rather than letting it control you. Jung would say that integrating the shadow is not about becoming dark, but about reclaiming your full power. Stoicism adds that emotional control is key to resilience. When you face your shadow head-on, you're not just healing, you're becoming unstoppable. 12th, reciprocity or revolt. In relationships, Jung might see lack of reciprocity as an imbalance where one's persona is overly accommodating, leading to resentment or burnout. True relationships should allow for the expression of the whole self, including the shadow. For empaths, this means seeking partnerships where there's mutual respect and energy exchange. Stoicism teaches the importance of justice and fairness in relationships. By valuing reciprocity, you ensure that your relationships are sustainable and nourishing, not draining. Jung's concept of individuation applies here too. By honoring your whole self in relationships, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. Stoicism reinforces this by teaching that true connection fuels rather than depletes. When you demand reciprocity, you're not just setting boundaries, you're creating space for authentic connection. 13. The outdated code. Jung might view outdated social codes as collective shadows or archetypes that no longer serve individual growth. For empaths, breaking free from these codes is part of their individuation, allowing them to live more authentically. This might mean challenging norms that expect you to always put others first or to suppress your own needs. Stoicism supports this by advocating for living in accordance with nature and reason, which often means challenging outdated norms that conflict with your true self. By embracing your authenticity, you can live more freely and fully. Jung's shadow work is key here. By confronting the collective shadow, you free yourself from its grip. Stoicism adds that true freedom comes from living in alignment with your values. When you reject the outdated code, you're not just rebelling, you're evolving. 14. The Lighthouse Imperative. Becoming a lighthouse, as Jung might describe it, means shining your light without being dimmed by the darkness around you. This requires strong boundaries and self-knowledge, allowing you to stand firm in your values and purpose. For empaths, this means using your sensitivity to guide and inspire others while protecting your own energy. Stoicism reinforces this by emphasizing inner strength and resilience. By standing firm in your convictions and maintaining your inner light, you can navigate even the stormiest seas with grace and power. Jung's concept of the self is central here. The self is your guiding light, your source of wholeness. Stoicism adds that true strength comes from within, untouchable by external chaos. When you become a lighthouse, you're not just surviving, you're illuminating the way for others. Remember, your journey toward wholeness and strength is unique, and it's okay to walk your own path. At Sigma Male Community, we're here to support you in embracing your true self, integrating your shadow, and living with purpose and resilience. If this video resonated with you, hit that subscribe button to stay connected with more content that empowers you to thrive in a world that often tries to hold you back. Together, we rise. You've got this.